Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard.
He says, also, it's chivalrous to let women choose a place she knows, is comfortable with, and is close to her home among familiar streets, friends, and family. I mean, they're not going on the date. So anyway, planning a date includes considering her safety. So let's talk about this, right? Let's talk about the logic of what he's saying, or rather, I say the illogic of what he's saying, right? So for one, he says it's chivalrous to let a woman choose a place she knows and is comfortable with and is close to home. I had an interesting conversation last week with a woman, and I brought this up because this is the comment he left last week, right? I brought this up, and they said, you know, one of the reasons that, because I was saying that's a boring date because she's already been there a bunch of times. So why would you want to do something that she's already done? Like, that's not exciting for her. There's no mystery in that, blah, 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 right? So what she told me was this, is that the other thing that men don't consider is that if she takes you to a place that she likes and the date doesn't work out, or she gets attached early on and then whatever, it fizzles out, she can now no longer ever go back to that place that she once frequented, because now there's an emotional event that happened there. And again, women are all about their feelings and emotions. She had a bad experience at this place that she used to go to on a date with you, and now she can't go there anymore. So she said most women aren't going to want to go to a place that they frequent with a guy because they don't want to ruin the place. They want to be able to go there next week and have drinks with their friends and have a good time with their family and not think about the bad date she had, or wondering if the guy's going to try to stalk her there now because it didn't work out and she tried to reject the guy, and now he's just showing up at all the places, including where she frequents to eat. And these are things that guys, I would never thought. I've been doing this how long? And I've never thought about that aspect of like, oh crap, yeah, if she goes there all the time, why would she want to ruin that place with a bad date? So this is where I get into, you have to understand the ways in which men think about what should be chivalrous and what should work on women and what they should want to do on a date is usually dramatically different from how women are thinking about it. We're thinking logically, if I let her pick the place, then logically she's going to have a good time. She's been there a bunch of times. She's done it before. It's not new. And again, more importantly, she's not trying to ruin that place if she really likes it. So this is an example of, while you're well-meaning and being chivalrous, you're actually effing up by trying to get her to choose a place that she wants to go to that she's been to a bunch of times. The other part, he says, is planning a date includes considering her safety. And he goes on to say, the choices she makes provides insight into her eating habits, lifestyle, and dating goals. It'd be a mistake to assert that, quote, men should plan everything regardless of her needs, interests, and capabilities. This can very quickly lead to women being placed in awkward and unsafe situations because some men will take advantage. And so to that, I say, how? Like, I will give the caveat that, yes, if you as a guy make the mistake for a first date to try to ask her to go back to your place as the date, like you're on a dating app, you hit her up on a thing, hey, so first date, let's just come to my place. Yeah, I'd say she needs to be worried. But think about realistically, the majority of your first dates are happening where, guys? In public. So you're going to invite her to a restaurant. She's going to feel unsafe around a bunch of other people that are in the restaurant, that if something happens, they can come up to the table and beat the crap out of you. Like, none of that makes sense. You're picking a place where there's a well-lit parking lot, where there's food there that I assume is not poisonous food. Like, nothing you're doing in terms of asking for that first date. I even tell you guys, hey, for that first date, don't offer to pick her up. Offer to meet her someplace. So she has to leave her house, so you don't know where she lives, to come to a restaurant that's in public where you're around other people and in a well-lit parking lot, so she can't be mugged by you or assaulted in some way by you in the parking lot. Like, if you're planning out the date right, nothing of what you plan should make her feel unsafe. And most women have in their head that they're going to be good. Like, wherever you say you want to take them, or wherever you say you want to meet up with them, rather, they're going to be fine. Like, oh, pizza place, fine. Chinese food restaurant, fine. Coffee shop, fine. Why? All public places, all public parking. If worst case scenario, if you start acting weird, they can say, barista or waiter, hey, this guy's acting weird. Let me get out of here. So that statement in and of itself, oh, you got to consider her safety, is illogical because, again, he's thinking, if I let her pick the place, then she'll feel safe. But you should be able to pick a public place where any public place she goes to, outside of like maybe like a really harsh bar or a strip club of some kind where the strippers just like want to beat up on patrons, like you should be totally fine. So, but this goes to also the fact that, again, he's thinking that this is a thing that women are having an issue with. Like women are having a problem with a guy planning a date. Ooh, I don't want to be that guy that tells her what to do because women don't like that. And yet, how many shows have I done where I talk about the fact that women want to follow your lead? Women don't want to plan dates. Women want to be with a guy that can just plan the thing and she just show up and be pretty. Like those first few dates, all she wants to do is be like, where are we going today? You already have a plan. Great. What should I wear? You tell her what to wear. Great. I'll show up. That's what they want. And this guy is saying, but I got to consider, and hey, I'm not even trying to bag this guy because I get it. I was this guy one time in my early 20s when I was dating. I was all about, well, women's lib, feminism. So we both need to make decisions. So what do you want to do? I want to do whatever you want to do. Well, that's great. So what do you want to do? Back and forth until I wouldn't get a date because I was that guy that was like, well, the courteous thing would be to ask you where you want to go and what you want to do, princess. And, I know that, other guys are probably like those guys and I don't want to be that guy. So I'll make sure that, we do whatever you want to do. And I won't dare try to take you to my place. And I won't dare try. Like, women don't like apprehensive guys. It seems anxious. It seems like you don't know what you're doing. And that's the real thing here is that women want men that know what they're doing. When you try to acquiesce to her and leave things up to her, it shows women at large that you do not know what the heck you're doing and you're going to lose women. So he said some other stuff. He said, this can lead to women being placed in awkward, unsafe situations, blah, blah, blah. Or at best, women would need to decline offers or suggest alternatives, which would diminish his position in the dynamic because he was unable to plan things to her liking. We don't benefit from a standard that incites conflict and places women at risk. Okay, but assuming you met her before, like you didn't just walk to a girl and say, hey, I think you're hot. Let's go on a date. Chances are you either A, met her on a dating app, or B, met her through friends, or C, met her at a party, or D, miscellaneous. But I'm assuming that there was a conversation of some kind before you got the number, before you start checking back and forth. In the case of online dating, you matched, so you got to have banter back and forth. I assume in that banter, you could slide in there like, hey, so like, what are your favorite restaurants around town? Hey, what kind of food do you like to eat? Hey, what are you really into? Like, that could be part of that opening conversation leading up to asking for a date, On my dating app, when I was doing online dating, I would always ask women like, what's your favorite pizza, Chicago style or hand tossed? And I'd say, and there's only one correct answer. For one, spoiler, that's a great prompt to have on a dating app. Just say in that part where they say like, we'll have fun if, and I'll say like, if you can tell me which pizza you prefer better, Chicago style or New York, and yes, there's only one correct answer. So many women would just would write me instead of me having to reach out to them, But anyway, I'm already setting out there. I'm finding out from my prompt when they answer it that they like pizza. So it's not harder for me later on to say, hey, you know what? Let's meet for pizza because they already answered my prompt and let me know they like pizza. So at this point, I already know that I can do a pizza date. And most pizza places are in public with good lighting around other people. So they're usually more than willing to say yes to the date without me having to do much, right? But to that point, even if I said, hey, let's go get some pizza, and she was like, oh, you know what? Actually, I'm allergic to pizza. I can't eat cheese, or I'm trying to watch my carbs these days, so I'm not a fan of that. Then you as a guy would be like, okay, no problem. Let's do this other thing instead. Like you as a guy should have a minimum of 3 different types of dates that you could take women on in your town, because you don't need to think of a brand new date for every brand new person. Every brand new person that comes into your queue hasn't gone on a date with you. So you can go to the same pizza place, the same Dave & Buster's, same arcade, if they still have those. Like, you don't have to make everything new. This is why I tell you guys, if you're a man with a plan, it makes dating a lot easier, because if you already have backups upon backups of, if she doesn't like this date, we can do this, this, and this, you look like what? A man with a plan, which equals you look like a man that knows how to handle women. You look like a guy that has backup plans all the time to where you never run out of plans, and women find that attractive. What they don't find attractive is you being like, well, I don't want to take her to a place where she doesn't like for sure, so I'm going to ask her what she wants, and if she doesn't like the place I picked, and oh my gosh, the worst thing that's ever happened when I was like, hey, let's go here on a date, the woman was like, well, I can't do that, can do something else. Oh, okay. That's it. She still wanted the date. She didn't see me as less than. It wasn't a big issue that we had to change up the date location. Like, women just want to see that you're planning, that you're taking them on a date, And if they're being difficult about it, then again, you shouldn't be dating that woman. But I found most women aren't going to be that difficult. Like, men make up in their heads, if I don't do a certain thing the right way, all hell's going to break loose. And most women aren't actually like that, So, but anyway, I want to go back to the chivalry part, right? So I just want to give you guys a list of things you need to start reconsidering as it pertains to chivalry, because I think there's a lot of things that as guys we think should be chivalrous that either, again, annoy the crap out of women or aren't actually things that we need to be worrying about anymore, So let's get into that. So first off, number one, letting her choose a place is not chivalry. Women don't want to do it. Women don't like it. Women don't see that as you being, oh my gosh, you're allowing me to be part of the decision. Get that out of your head. Women do not want to be part of that decision. If they don't like the place that you've picked, they will tell you, or they will do some kind of thing like, oh, let's do something else instead. But at best, they just want to go along for the ride. For that first date, you're thinking the place actually matters. The place matters to the extent that it's relatively clean, easy to order at if you're going to some place where you order stuff, but that it's a place where you guys can sit down in a comfortable environment and get to know each other, okay? But for women, it's more about how's the experience of that first date, more so than the actual activity itself. You guys are putting too much emphasis on the activity, which is why you're failing. And again, that is not a chivalrous thing. It is more chivalrous for you to pick the place, because that looks like, I'm like, think back like, the damsel in distress, like, oh, he's going to tell me where to go. Yay. And men don't get that concept. Men think, but if I tell her what to do, then that's me being that kind of guy. And feminism and the media has fooled you. Women want that kind of guy. So stop asking them, please. Thank you. Next up, being overly persistent is not chivalry. This is what I mean by that. I mean, like, basically, like, having to fight for her. Like, oh, I need to fight tooth and nail for her. I need to be going hard at her. None of that stuff is chivalry. Like, women find that annoying. Like, you being overly persistent or trying to get past her no because she really means yes, and I just got to prove myself more, blah, blah, blah. There are laws against that now. But just on a dating sense, if you ask a woman out on a date and she's like, well, maybe, or I don't know her, I'm too busy. It is not your job to try to push through that no and get a yes, or to try to convince her that she actually needs to date you. Like, stop falling for that lie. Women don't need you to do that. And the women that do need you to do that, they're going to have you trying to prove yourself to her all the time, and it is stressful, and you don't need to date those kind of women, all right? Next up, grand gestures of romance. It is not chivalry, especially early in the dating process. I know guys think, I have a whole book called a whole book called No Girls For You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams, where I talk about things like this, about doing these grand gestures, about getting all these kinds of gifts. You're thinking, oh, I'm being such a gentleman. I'm being chivalrous by doing all these things and getting all these things for her. And early on in the dating process, what that's going to feel like to her is you're trying to bribe her into a relationship. Women do not feel as though bribery is chivalry. So go in with your personality. You're already taking on dates. The little money you're spending, you're already paying for that. That is more than enough. Doing extra stuff to try to prove your love or emotions to somebody that you've been on like 3 dates with, it's doing too much. So stop it. The fourth way to reconsider chivalry, telling your emotions to a woman about how much you feel for her, how much you already see a future with her. That is not chivalry. That, again, that goes back to you're trying to now emotionally bribe her into feeling the same things for you that you're already feeling for her early on in the dating process, because you're not aware that it's actually lust that's driving that. But the point is that, so I tell you guys, your actions should be speaking louder than your words. You should be barely saying anything as it pertains to like, you're so gorgeous, so I found you so attractive, we could be together. Let her be the one to do that, because coming from her, it's going to be fine. Coming from you, it's going to feel 3 times more than what you mean it to be, and it's going to chase her away. And then the fifth thing to reconsider about chivalry is that overextending yourself for her needs is not chivalry. You've been willing to drop your things at the drop of the hat to go over to her place and help fix something, or you've been willing to take time off from something you're doing important, whether it's your job or building something, to go help her. I got news for you guys. You're thinking you're winning points early on in the dating process. Women respect men whose attention and time and extra time they have to earn. If it's being given to them freely, they're not going to appreciate it. They're not going to respect it. And worst of all, they're not going to take it in the way that you want them to take it. And so that's why I say that is also not considered chivalry. So what is chivalry? What is chivalry look like in the dating phase of things in the 21st century? Well, basically these 4 pillars, right? 1, respect. So you're being polite to her. You're being considerate to her. Respect does not include having to ask her where she wants to go. It does include if you mention a place and she's like, I'm allergic, I can't go there. My ex used to take me there, I don't want to go there. And then you're saying, okay, great, let's do something else. That is now respecting the fact that she has some adherence or some aversion to wanting to do the thing that you mentioned. But you just saying, hey, let's go here and do this, that you are not being disrespectful by doing that. If anything, knowing that women like that means that you're showing respect to the part of the process that she needs in order to build attraction to you. Second, being courteous is chivalrous. This is opening doors, pulling out her chair, etc. Some women don't even need you to do that, but you can start off doing that. And then if she's like, oh, you don't need to do that, just be like, okay, cool. Hey, just this is what I usually do, but hey, no harm, no foul, and go about it that way. But again, you asking her out to show her a good time is already the courtesy. So you thinking, and I got to ask her what she actually wants to do. You ain't got to do that. That's not you not doing that is not being not courteous. You already agreeing to take her out. You've already planned the date. You already agreed to pay for it. Like what more courteousness do you need to show? You know? Also kindness, being attentive. I know people say like, oh, I got to be a bad guy. No, you don't. You can be kind to women. You can be attentive. You can be a good listener. You can talk respectfully to them. Again, I stress, you asking her for the date and agreeing to take her out is already an act of kindness. You don't have to do that. You agreeing to pay for part of her date. You don't have to do that. Like you're going to get better results if you do, but you don't have to do that, but you're being kind. So these things are the things that will help you in terms of being chivalrous, but you ask her where to go. It's annoying her, which in effect is actually not kindness because women across the board, I've surveyed and or talked to and or dated enough women to know that across the board, women do not need you and do not want you to ask them where to go. When you do, I've told you this now, so if you go and do it, you're now showing a lack of kindness to women at large because they have expressed they do not need, even that boss babe that's a shot caller at work, especially doesn't want to make the decision when she gets home. She wants to be treated like a lady because she has to be boss babe, masculine energy in the office all day. You come into her at the end of the day and saying, hey, now choose where we go. Why are you keeping in her masculine energy? Like, it's not kind, so stop it. And then lastly, being chivalrous is being protective. So this is like, so many women are like horrible at crosswalks. Like they'll just keep on walking. I've had to like put my arm out like, hey, don't walk here. Like you will be looking out for this woman, making sure no harm's coming to her during the course of the date. I would think that if you have signed up to be her protector and her bodyguard during the course of the night, whereby, again, you're jumping in front of cars, you're making sure she doesn't walk into puddles, you're fighting off people if they come to her, that she would be fine with that to where if you just happen to say, and by the way, I'm picking the place, she'd be like, okay. Because she knows all the stuff you're signing up for simply by agreeing to take her out in the first place, all right? So get the idea, whatever idea you have of what chivalry should be, get that out of your head and start rethinking of that and thinking about, but what does that look like to women and what do they actually need versus what do I think chivalry should look like and what they should accept from me? Because you're going to get less women sticking around if you're stuck on this idea of what you think chivalry should be, but it's not working. You know what I mean? So hopefully, guys, this helps you out.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man.